The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gam Podcast Network is brought to you by Fantasy. Underdogs giving away $15 million WrestleMania 5. Sign the promo code NBSGPN to claim your first time deposit offer as far as bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code NBASGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm's college football and NFL picks and projections are now live. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportscampodcast.com. RhythmSportsCampodcast.com/RITHMM. And welcome, everybody, to the NBA Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gam Podcast Network. It's currently Friday afternoon, roughly 4 p.m. Eastern Time on August 2nd. I'm your host of this episode, Scott Reichel, once again joined by Lonte Smith. And together, we're going to break down the Saturday card for the Olympics. We have two games to talk about. You have Team USA taking on Puerto Rico, and you have South Sudan taking on Serbia. So we're going to preview both those games in a second. First of all, Lonte, how's it going? Nice to see you again.
Yeah, man, good to see you as well. Going pretty good. Hit Canada today. First half, didn't bet the full game because I thought some shenanigans could happen. So got on the right side of that. And, you know, I know we both were pretty high on Germany, lower on France, and good to see that pay to fruition right now with Germany holding a considerable lead at the half. Well, it was at the half, so yeah. But
they're up 20-something now in the third quarter. Probably not ideal when you almost lose to Japan and they get blown out by Brazil. It's probably not a good sign for France going into today. But France has been a mess. They still are going to advance somehow, but damn, that team sucks. Canada won barely, so good win for them. Spain tried to make a nice comeback there at the end. Greece ended up beating Australia, which sucks for me because I had Greece to lose in the group stage. That did not happen. And as I said before, Germany is absolutely destroying France at this point in time. I know as for the last episode we did, we both hit the lock. We had the same pick. Never in doubt with the over in the Serbia game. And I believe that was 172.5. And the game landed 173. For my dog, I picked the wrong Joker alt line. I picked the points. Instead, he had like 15 rebounds and 8 assists. So I picked the one wrong Joker play as my dog and ended up losing. I know you also had the same lock as me, but I forgot what your dog was in that one.
Yeah, I had Joker 12 plus rebounds at like plus 200 or something like that.
Yeah, so you got there easily as you ended up with like 15. So overall, good episode for us. I know Team USA didn't look that great against South Sudan. They did early, and then the second half started, and they kind of played with their food the entire time. We're going to talk about it, though, in a second with Team USA because, of course, they have their game coming up against Puerto Rico. They're going to win. They're favored by 35.5 points. I want to ask you what your thoughts are for Team USA so far through 2 games because they've been winning comfortably, but it feels like there's just no urgency watching them play. Yeah. Does it feel like they're doing a glorified scrimmage half the time?
Yeah, I think it just has a lot to do with just those guys getting comfortable playing with each other. And we haven't seen, like, Curry hasn't played well at all.
No, he made no threes last game.
Yeah, like he hasn't played well at all. He had that stretch at the end of the first game against Serbia where, you know, he hit the 3, but all in all, hasn't been a stellar Olympics for Steph. The story for me is the bench. I thought the bench comes in and they pretty much uplift everybody. I know the lineups have been switching back and forth. I think that's the key. I think he has to get like committed to a certain lineup or a certain rotation because right now guys don't know who they're going to be playing with or when they're going to be playing. So it's hard to kind of dictate what you're going to do and how you're going to play if you were playing with certain guys at certain times and then others in different times. So I think that's like uncomfortable for some of those guys. Now, obviously, some of the guys it doesn't matter for. You know, LeBron, Anthony Edwards, especially one of those. Bam, AD. But yeah, so I think that they've been underwhelming as far as just a complete game. Like we haven't seen them start and finish to the maximum ability to me. But I think the strength is the bench. I think when they come off the bench with, obviously AD started last game for Embiid, but when they come off the bench with AD, Bam, even Halliburton got in and hit a couple threes. I thought that was encouraging for him as well. But when they come off the bench, man, I just think they take the energy to a next level that the starters just don't have. So if the starters can kind of start off, you know, really good and not have to have Steve Kerr all the time out early and then bleed that into the bench, you know, coming in with their energy, I think they'll be able to, you know, find a complete game, which I think that might be, you know, tomorrow.
Yeah, it just feels like, once again, there are some moments in games. Of course, it happens when you're favored to win every game by like 20 points, but I just felt like Team USA was going through the motions.
Yeah, saw it with the women too.
Yeah, the women ended up beating Belgium anyway. They're going to win every game by double digits anyway. But Team USA, that third quarter was embarrassing for the first 6 minutes
Yeah,
of
definitely.
the third quarter. They just kind of let Celsius get back into it. They're never a threat to actually win the game. We knew Team USA was going to win as soon as the game started. But I guess that's why it doesn't matter. But for the sake of point spreads, it's tough to fully trust this team to cover massive numbers when you know they're going to be basically on autopilot for at least 8 minutes out of any given game.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I went early in the last podcast that we went, because of that specific thing. And also it's something to notice that South Sudan obviously has zero quit in them. They're going to fight to the end, and that's what you want in an underdog, especially one of that stature, like us, being out talented. But I thought they played hard. I thought we both capped the game pretty good because Jones didn't do much. You could see their aggression from the jump. They were picking up full
They
court.
went over the team total, which kind of annoyed me because they did nothing in the first half, but the second half they went crazy. But yeah, Jones is kept pretty in check.
Yeah, so they picked up the aggression, and you can see that from the jump, and it's just like they kind of let go of the rope at the end. Some silly turnovers. I mean, I'm honestly surprised that some of the shots that these guys are shooting, like they're getting wide open. Looks like some of Steph looks are wide open. I thought some of KD looks were wide open as well, and I don't think he hit. I don't think he had a field goal in his first like 4 or 5 minutes. I think he had 7 free throw attempts.
He had a bunch of free throws, but he didn't have many field goal attempts.
Yeah, so I think once those guys, this might be the game where everything clicks and we kind of see, the ascendance of those guys playing where, everybody's going to have a flow and know what they're supposed to do. And it's a favorable matchup, of course. Well, I mean, you could make a debate that all of them are favorable, but this specific matchup is like one of the more massive disadvantages in this play. So
yeah, we'll talk about that matchup in a second. But overall, I give Team USA's performance another B- to a B.
Okay.
Whatever. They won the game
C+.
comfortably. They got bored. It was whatever. They played a lot better than they did in the exhibition game against South Sudan. So there's that. At no point did I miss Embiid, not seeing him on the floor. I mean, you weren't wrong though about them changing rotations all the time because Tatum was a scratch in the first game. Then you saw Embiid as a scratch in the second game. Halliburton, I don't think he can actually play in this event moving forward. I know he had a couple threes. There are not many things that I hate more than watching Halliburton play defense in basketball. I can't stand watching him guard anybody. And he was awful in the last few minutes when he got some run when they emptied the benches out. He was so bad defensively in those last couple minutes. It was kind of a perfect sum up. I think Trae Young's still the worst defender in the league. Halliburton's up there, and he's 6'5". At least Trae has the stature excuse. He's undersized. What's he supposed to do? Halliburton just is afraid of any contact of any kind. And as a result, he lets guys go past him all the time. So that's why I kind of can't stand Halliburton's defense. It's why I think he should play less in the future. But it shouldn't be an issue. Point is, we kind of covered all the games that we just saw. And nothing too shocking. But overall, good win for Greece, who was an underdog, and they won to stay alive in the event. Anything else you want to talk about, or should we move on to the actual games for Saturday?
No, we can move on to the games.
All right, so before we get into any of the games, want to remind you once again that we are currently in the middle of a couple of featured shows, and the featured show for the week is the Mothership Show, the sports gambling podcast, which just launched the 32 NFL team preview series. And as a bonus, each team preview episode has a code word. Submit the 32 code word phrase, and you could get you could be the lucky winner to get a $500 NFL circa future bet. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and also a reminder to download the SGPN app. We're also brought to you by Nordic Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code NBSGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer of your bonus cash on Nordic Fantasy promo code NBASGPN. We're also brought to you by OddsJam. OddsJam is your one-stop shop for beating the sportsbooks. OddsJam uses millions of data points across every U.S. and Canadian sportsbook to show you the best value plays for your money. Their line shopping tool shows you the best price for any bet that you could make across the country, whether it involves DraftKings, FanDuel, even BetOnline, Bovada, Cut, and many more. Their arbitrage tool is also pretty valuable because it finds opportunities for you to bet both sides of the same prop on a sportsbook to guarantee a positive ROI. Their new fantasy tool also features the highest EV plays relative to the sportsbook's odds, allowing you to crush sites like Underdog Fantasy. They even have a tool for finding the best sign-up bonuses. If you're interested in trying out OddsJam, you can get a 7-day free trial by using the link below. And don't forget to use the promo code SGPN to get 35% off your first month of your subscription. OddsJam.com, promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Just finished recapping what happened in the last episode for us and for the last couple of days of action in the Olympics. Time to move on to the actual Saturday slate. Now, I'm going to warn you, these games on paper, not the most competitive based on point spread. First game, Team USA laying 34.5 against Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has looked like the worst team in the entire event. You could argue that it's Japan, but Japan at least was competitive against France. Puerto Rico's been competitive against nobody because South Sudan beat them by double digits and they got buried by Serbia by about 40. For this one, you have Team USA minus 34.5. Puerto Rico is plus 34.5, and the over-under is at 189.5. Team USA, we know, should win this game by a ton. The issue is the team going to actually be motivated enough to care for at least 37 minutes in this game? Or do they let Puerto Rico hang in there and they end up winning by 30?
Well, I'm not going to lay this number with USA. I'm telling you that right now. But I'm also not going to be taking it with Puerto Rico. So I think it's multiple ways you can bet the game, whether you want to go first quarter, first half, or what I perceive to be the best bet is the first half and full game team total to go over. I think both of us were on that earlier in the actually since the Olympics started. I think we both have been on the team total for USA because, and you mentioned it last episode.
Well, they didn't get there against Sudan, but they got there in the first game.
Yeah. So you mentioned it in the first in the episode where Puerto Rico has been allowing like a lot of points, and those are to less talented teams than the U.S. So, I mean, just a simple handicap. I think the U.S. will come out. And like I said, they've been offensively, they've looked okay, but they just haven't been like executing to the fashion that we are used to. So,
a lot of turnovers.
Steph is going to get going. I think when Steph gets going, that's going to snowball into everything else. LeBron was okay. I don't think he was as good as he has been the last game. Kevin Durant was a little off. Jason Tatum looked off. But again, you're inserting these guys in who haven't played, so it's taken away from some of the rhythm. You know, the other guys are trying to get the guys who didn't play back involved, and you're probably going to be doing that with, you know, Joel Embiid and Jrue Holiday seeing a lot more minutes, Steve Kerr said, than they did last game, because basically he wants to do everything matchup dependent. And I think Joel Embiid is a pretty good matchup problem for Puerto Rico. I think he'll be able to dominate, so I'll be looking at some of his props. But overall, I'll probably pass on the side. Team total over first half full game. I don't think it's any other way you can play this, to be honest.
I mean, a reminder, Joker in the last game against Puerto Rico had 14-5-8. And 14-15-8, I mean. So he dominated. Maybe Embiid rebounds is worth a look. They should get all the points in the paint. Puerto Rico's undersized. Alvarado's injured, so I do question how effective this team's going to be scoring. Team USA, I want to have faith in defensively, but I can't because they don't care. It just seems like there's a lack of intensity defensively, which has me concerned. Team USA team total, though, is 112.5.
Over.
Which I can't really argue with. Like, I think I have to lean over, too, but it's going to come down to like a 5-6 minute stretch if Team USA just scores like 5 points. That might kill the entire pace, but Puerto Rico's lost 6 straight games. I think people haven't noticed that. They faced off in a friendly last year. Team USA won 117-74. So they did end up scoring 117 points in that one. But you are looking at Puerto Rico recently. I mentioned it before, but I'll do it again. Gave up 107 to Serbia. Gave up 90 to South Sudan. Gave up 107 to Spain. Gave up 103 to Canada. Gave up 90 to Australia. Points, they give up a ton of points. They've given up at least 103 points in 1, 2, 3 of their last 4. They've given up 90 plus in each of their last 5. They can't stop anybody, and Team USA should be able to do enough offensively to drop at least 110. The issue is I'm not sure how much Puerto Rico contributes in this matchup because South Sudan scored 86, Serbia scored 84, but Puerto Rico is significantly worse offensively than both those teams. So it's really difficult for me to find a value play on the total. I don't mind Team USA, maybe first half total over. If you want to go for the team total, maybe. But Team USA really should kill this team by 40 points. If Serbia could beat this team by 41, you should definitely beat this team by 40 and change. The problem is the lack of consistent effort. And I feel like that's a serious concern if you want to lay a massive number like this. Do I think Team USA will be up by 20 at halftime? Probably. But if they're up 20 at half, then they probably cover the spread.
What's the halftime line?
19.5. It's literally up by 20 at half. So that's why it's kind of You need a massive quarter and change to go your way. I think I am going to lean to Team USA. I think Puerto Rico is the worst team in the entire competition. Japan was competitive against France. Hachimura missed the game against Brazil. Whatever. That's unfortunate. They should have beaten France.
Yeah,
Puerto Rico hasn't been close to beating anybody. And they lost all their tune-up games in the exhibition before going to the Olympics. So I'm going to lean Team USA. If I had to guess a score, like 118 to like 75, 118 to like 80. It's going to be close, but I think they kill this team. Give me Team USA. I think Embiid has a solid game. I like his props after not playing in the last game. But Puerto Rico has no size, and their best player is injured. And he's undersized. Good luck. Like, I don't think it's going to go well for Puerto Rico. So I am going to lean to Team USA. I am going to lean to, I guess, the over, but it's mostly Team USA. They really should win this game by 40-plus points.
Yeah, I'll stay away from the total. I would go under just simply because I think the U.S. defensively
Puerto Rico might get clamped. I mean, they only scored 66 against Serbia.
Right, so I think they'll be able to shut down whatever. They're not going to be able to do anything in the paint. So they're going to have to bomb three. The only way that they, get to a certain point threshold is if they just bomb away threes. I mean, they're not going to be able to do anything in the paint.
That's the thing with Team USA, though, is that they're the opposite, where they might just score 100 or something points on dunks and layups.
Right. They might. But I think Steph Curry will get going in this game because I just think it's a favorable matchup. Puerto Rico's lack of guard play it was on full display against Serbia. So I like Steph Curry to just go bonkers in this game. He's due for. I mean, I know we don't get paid off dues, but he's bound to have a good effort here, and I think this is a perfect team to get it against. So if you can, I'll probably take Steph up to like 20, 25 points.
I guess my point is, what exactly can Puerto Rico do in this game? Because
they just got to make a lot of threes.
You just said their guard play has not been great. All right, and Alvarado's injured. That's not a good sign. Do they have any size to battle Embiid, Bam, and AD? No. Right. Do they have anybody to guard LeBron? No. Like, what are they supposed to do for this game?
Bomb away threes. You got to just. I mean, that's the only thing you can do. Is just bomb away threes and just live with the variance. That's all you can do. I mean, because if you look at it, like, there's no way for them to score in the paint. I mean, you just listed off 4 of the elite defenders in the world, so they're not going to be able to go to the paint. They're probably going to get killed either way, whether they make threes or not. So you might as well just shoot 50, 55 threes and just hope for the best.
I think I actually am going to lean the Puerto Rico team total under. I think I talked myself into it at 77.5. Didn't go well for the South Sudan game, but it was mostly the second half in that one. As South Sudan did score 50 points in the second half, scored 29 in the fourth quarter when the game was already out of reach.
Mm-hmm.
But they were very good in the first half. South Sudan only scored 36 points. Puerto Rico, we know South Sudan, not a good defensive team. Puerto Rico only scored 79 against them, and they scored 66 against Serbia. Alvarado's injured. They have no size. They're not the greatest outside shooting team, but they need to be to score in this game. They're a one-dimensional offense against Team USA because they can't do anything in the paint. They'll get killed on the boards, and they're not the greatest three-point shooting team. So I'll dare them to get hot. Give me Team USA to actually play good defense for once. I'll go with Puerto Rico, team total under 77.5. Do you agree with that, or are you a little bit scared because Team USA just takes quarters off?
No, I completely agree. I just don't think that there'll be the only path to them scoring 80 plus, or in that case 78 plus, is just bombing away from three. I just don't think they'll be able to be efficient enough. I think the U.S. will be able to clamp down defensively, and then if they want to rest those starters, KD, LeBron, and those guys, I think that bears well for the defense because you'll be playing more Bam, more AD, more Anthony Edwards. Granted, I guess I'm not sure how the rotation is going to work out, but I'm assuming you'll see Holiday off the bench a little bit more. So I just think that a defense will be there once those guys get off the floor if it's out of hand early.
Yeah. But moving on, though, to the player props here, it seems like we kind of are expecting Team USA to dominate, even if we have not been sold on how they've played so far in this tournament. For the actual player props, I'll start off with points to look at the main options here. AD's at 9.5. Alvarado's at 15.5. Curry's at 11.5. Tremont Waters at 14.5. I don't see any Embiid props, which is kind of upsetting.
Right.
But Any players that you like in general? Because I said Curry's at 11.5.
Yeah, I like Steph over. If they got a PRA for Bam, I love that over. You can make a debate that Bam's been. I mean, outside of the game that LeBron had, I mean, you can make a debate, and of course KD, which I think they had that in the same game. But you can make an argument that Bam's kind of been the best player on the floor.
I mean, I'll put it this way: this is the obvious conclusion. Bam's been very solid, but Embiid has been by far the worst big man on the court for Team USA.
Yeah. So if you can find anything with Bam PRA, I'm looking for guys who are going to play more if their starters are going to rest. And obviously, if it's up big early, you would think LeBron, Steph, and KD would be the the older guys to rest. So maybe look at some Anthony Edwards stuff as well. But I do think that Steph has a good game. He'll get his 15 to 20 early on, and you won't have to worry about him getting off the floor if it's a blowout. So I like Steph over of the ones that we have. Just monitor Embiid, because I'll be looking at his points and rebounds. Also Bam, points, rebounds, and assists. I like that also.
Yeah, I think if I had to go for the actual props here, it's really just a perfect matchup for all the centers or forwards for Team USA. So you gotta pick whoever you want. I know AD got a bit banged up. A classic AD game last game
Right.
where he fell to the ground, limping and winced, and then he had a massive tomahawk dunk about 3 minutes later. So it really didn't matter. I like Bam points at 8.5. I understand you want to give Embiid more minutes, but Bam's been so good, I don't think you can take him off the floor. Bam's been great for this team, and I think that he can still get there if he has limited minutes. So I like Bam over his points at 8.5. That does feel a bit low to me. He's also made some threes. He's actually been shooting well from behind the arc. I think Alvarado is going to be in jail in this game.
Yes, sir.
If we're talking about Carlik being somewhat shut down by Team USA because that was their main weapon, I know Waters has been fine so far for Puerto Rico, but I have to at least acknowledge that Alvarado's compromised, and Team USA just has so many solid guards that can actually just basically cook them. And
with size.
He might get into foul trouble. They can give different looks at him. You can throw Tatum on him if you want to. Like, it just feels like Team USA can switch a lot. Alvarado is going to be forced to shoot a decent amount if he's going to go over this number. But I want to pull up his numbers against Serbia because I don't believe he played well. But I want.
Yeah, I think he was like 2 for 17, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right. I think he was awful, actually. And I was underestimating how bad he actually was. But he had 17 shots. I guess that's the argument, is that maybe he can get there on volume alone. But I think I have to lean to the under on his points because he's 6 feet tall. And he might get the Drew Holiday treatment.
Yeah, I'm with
He
you.
had 26 points against South Sudan. That's not a good defense. He scored 2 points against Serbia. 2? I think Team USA can do a good job bottling him up. So I'll go with his potential unders there. Want to ask you about North Carolina. Any thoughts on Pinheiro?
Not really. What has he been doing anyway?
I'm going to pull him up, but I remember at North Carolina, he was never really a good scorer.
Yeah, no, at all.
His points line, by the way, since I have props on him, is set at 4.5 for this game.
Yeah,
he scored 4 and 3 in the last 2 games.
I mean, but if you think that, well, I mean, I think I'm agreeing with you also. So if we think that Alvarado is not going to be doing anything, I think you got to look at Waters and maybe Pinheiro.
Yeah. I don't mind Waters' threes in this game. I think he might actually have a green light where he might chuck up some volume. That would not bother me. But I think that's going to be my main lean for any Puerto Rico options. I'll go with Waters. I'll pivot off of a compromised Alvarado. That's basically it, though. Any other players you want to talk about, or should we move on?
No, we can move on.
But I actually misspoke. Pinheiro's actually a different one from North Carolina. This one actually went to San Diego. I actually confused Pinheiro's. So my bad.
Might be his brother.
Whoops. Yeah, it might be his brother. So apologies there. I confused Pinheiro's. Point is, though, he has not been good at scoring either. But I like Bam over at 8.5. Moving on to the next game. We got to talk about a matchup that might be interesting, maybe not. It's Serbia against South Sudan. For this one, you have Serbia about -14 or 13.5 in some spots, and you have the total at 179.5. Serbia got killed by Team USA, but once again was basically even in the Joker minutes. Then they killed Puerto Rico in the last game. South Sudan was good in the first game against Puerto Rico, and they covered against Team USA. We know that they bomb a bunch of threes away, and they play offense like BYU. Just going to jack up 50 threes a game, and we'll see if Joker is going to actually be able to cover in the pick and pop game, which could be a bad matchup for Joker.
Yeah.
But I don't know who's going to guard on the other end. So I guess the question that I have for you, 13.5, do you want to lay it? Because I really don't know how South Sudan is going to get stops in this game because Joker is such a bad matchup for them. They're going to throw on him who? Like Wyndon Gabriel? Like, okay.
They're going to play.
Like
they're going to play.
Joker might kill this team.
Yeah, they're going to play the kid that's going to Duke next year a lot. Kamulach.
Okay.
Oh, Mulach, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think he's going to play a ton. He's a big, really athletic. Obviously, he can't do. I mean, he can't do anything with Joker, but I think just size-wise, they're able to match up with him. And I think you mentioned it. I think both teams have some decent advantages. Serbia is going to be able to score efficiently in a half court, like we saw them do against Puerto Rico. Joker should be able to navigate through that high pick and roll, especially when he's at the high post area, kind of navigating stuff. Bogdanovic, I think, should have a decent game as well. But on the opposite end, they got size and wings to be able to take guys off the dribble. So I think those Serbia guards will be able to struggle with the South Sudan wings. I mean, they're long, athletic. They matched up pretty well athletically with the U.S. Now, granted, they weren't. They played better in pockets of the game.
They have a lot of tweeners. They have a lot of 2K My Player build guys.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like 6'7" slashers that just attack the rim.
Right, and I think that'll be a problem for Serbia. So I'm looking at the total to go over, and I'm leaning towards South Sudan. I mean, I just love the fact that they don't quit no matter how much they're down. I mean, in that first half, I thought it was about to be like 50 points.
Yeah,
they looked so bad, and then they kind of battled back, just playing good in spurts, never giving up, always crashing the glass.
The third quarter came around, and Team USA was like, "Oh, the game's over," and South Sudan's like, "No, we're gonna keep playing."
Right, and even to the last buzzer, they play well. So I'm gonna go with the over as my stronger play, but I like South Sudan with the points, 13.5.
I think I'm going to agree with you. Serbia has really no incentive to win by margin because if they win this game, then they're the second seed in the group. So it's really not going to matter. Serbia, I think, is still solid, but I can't tell how bad Puerto Rico is, and I think that they're really, really bad. I think Puerto Rico is god-awful. So I really am going to kind of – I don't know if I'm going to ignore how they did against that matchup. They played last year in the FIBA World Cup, and Serbia won by 32, for reference. Scored 115 points. So I like the over because I do agree with you about nobody playing defense in this game. I think South Sudan can make it interesting. Maybe they'll backdoor the thing. They only lost to Team USA by 17. Yeah. So maybe you see a similar script where Serbia goes up a lot and they coast in the second half. And you see South Sudan covering in the back door. But I think Serbia has been fine. They were pretty good in the tune-up games, beat Greece by 22, beat Japan by 19, lost to Australia, beat France by 12. Like, they've been fine. I think 14 sounds kind of right. I'd probably price it myself at like 12.5. So I think I am going to lean to South Sudan just based on where I would have the spread. But Serbia could easily cover. I think I am going to back South Sudan, though. I do think they can definitely, say, pull Joker away from the basket or at least prevent him from doing so by shooting before he actually gets out there. Mm-hmm. You might get a bunch of wide-open threes. If you want to go for a power forward or a center, threes over for South Sudan. I like that quite a bit because I think you're going to get a lot of pick and pops. So maybe Gabriel, if he's going to shoot a couple, maybe he's an option. But I think they can score. I think Serbia can score. I think you'd agree with me. Do you think South Sudan's a good defensive team?
No, not really. I think they have good potential.
They have length.
Yeah, length to be able. But I mean, those guards for Serbia, they aren't really the best off the bounce. They play well in scheme, but just like creating their shots, I think everything is created by Joker. But again, I don't think Serbia will have any problem scoring. And I also think I don't think South Sudan's offense will be limited in any fashion. I think they have an advantage on that wing with their length.
Yeah, and the meeting they had last year that I mentioned, they scored 115 points in. I will mention South Sudan did score 83. So that game did land 198. So that meeting was last year, if you want to use that for reference. I like the over. I see a bunch of points. Serbia might score 100 again. Maybe South Sudan gets to like 85, and you're in good shape for the over anyway. Mm-hmm. I like the over. I see a bunch of points, and I do think that Serbia will be covering at some point in the game, but I think South Sudan hangs in there. Give me Serbia to win this game by like 10.
Yeah, I'm with you. Completely.
And you like the over as well.
Yeah, I love the over. Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So moving on to the actual player props for that game. Want to talk quickly about the points here. So Joker kind of took a backseat last game because he was so good at everything else. Joker's at 20.5. If you want to go for Shayok, he's at 14.5. Karlik's at 16.5.
Yeah.
Bogdanovich is at 16.5. Any of those guys jump out to you? Wynn and Gabriel, by the way, is at 7.5.
I like Karlik Jones to have a bounce back game. I think he'll see obviously less, great defenders. Serbia's guards, I think we mentioned it from the top, not that good. I think Karlik Jones will be able to take guys off the bounce. I think he'll be able to get in transition and run. I think that'll be South Sudan's plan, to get up and down and run, to make sure Joker is maybe kind of tired, put him through a lot of pick and rolls. So I do like Karlik Jones over at 16.5. And I would probably have to go with another Joker rebounds. I think although that length is there, I think Joker has proven time and time again he can play through whoever, no matter how tall or lengthy they are. I mean, he was, getting rebounds with Anthony Davis and Bam and Joel Embiid. So I don't think you'll have an issue here with South Sudan.
Yeah, I agree. Looking at the actual props for South Sudan, Karlik did have 18 against Team USA. Most of it was in garbage time, but we know he attacks the rim. I like his over in general at 16.5. I'm tempted by Omat, who quietly had 24 points against Team USA. He was really, really good in that game, and he was 3 of 5 from 3. So I actually like the fact that he can shoot, and I do think that he's in line for what I think can be a good performance here. If you're looking at his actual height, I want to quickly pull that up quickly. Sorry, I have to just quickly look for it. Sorry, but the point is, he's another one of those stretch forwards. He's 6'9". He's going to attempt some threes, and we have seen him look pretty good so far. He had 12 points against Puerto Rico, 24 against Team USA. Hoping the confidence builds in that one. He was 8 of 12 from the floor, 3 of 5 from 3, though. I think his 3-point prop might be worth something. Looking if I can actually find what that is. His 3-pointers are at 1.5. At like minus 150. You could probably find a cheaper number if you shop around. I like the over on threes for South Sudan. I think that's going to benefit Omat. So give me Omat threes in this one. For rebounds for Joker, by the way, his rebounds are at 9.5. He had 15 last game. Give me the over.
Yeah,
Bam
for
at
sure.
7. Bam had 7. AD had 7. And I think LeBron had 7. Bunch of rebounds up for grabs. Bunch of pace because South Sudan loves to run. Give me Joker over 9.5 rebounds as well. Anything else you want to talk about?
I like Bogdan over 2.5 threes. I think the rotations for South Sudan is an issue. The ball movement will cause some problems for them to kind of get in rotation. I think that'll take like a half to adjust to. So I like Bogdan 2.5 threes. That is plus 140 on DraftKings.
Yeah, no, Stefan's in the comment section telling me that you can find Karlik actually at 15.5 points.
Yeah,
if you go
shop
to
around. Love
FanDuel.
that.
So
Yeah,
shop around. I was using DraftKings, but I should pull up FanDuel anyway because they have all the alt lines that
Yes,
I like.
sir.
So let me just quickly pull that up now. If you were going to go for any alts in general, I'm assuming it's Joker, but how high exactly would you go on some of these?
Let me see the prices first because I would probably go. Where is Joker? Are you talking about just rebounds or just in general?
Whichever you want. You can interpret it how you want to.
I mean, so I'm looking at his. He only goes up to 15 plus. You can get what is this? 850 for 15 plus rebounds. I don't mind taking a sprinkle on.
It's not bad.
I don't mind taking a sprinkle on that. 12 plus at 205. I think that's about the same price as it was in his last game. Yeah, I don't mind that actually. I might take some 850 on that 15 plus. I really might. Because if it's a competitive game, he's going to play minutes.
And they also need to win to advance. They might advance anyway, but for seeding purposes, that definitely is going to matter. If you want Joker 12 rebounds, you can get that at plus 138. If you want to go for Joker assists, he had 8 last game. His number in this is at 7.5. So not much value on the assists. 10 assists if you want, it's plus 270. I'm more tempted by the rebounds, to be honest, if I had to go for any type of option there. Trying to quickly see if there's a performance double that I can go with for Joker in this one. Do they have Joker 10 rebounds and Serbia to win? They have 10 assists. They have 12 rebounds. No, they don't have that. So
are you on FanDuel?
Yeah, I'm on FanDuel.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it on DraftKings either.
I do want to quickly see what Carleak 20-plus points is, if I had to look for some type of thing there. Carleak 25-plus points is plus 245. That I actually like.
You said
25? 20-plus points is plus 245.
Oh, yeah. I would take
18
that.
against Team USA.
Yeah,
he played
I think he's have a big bounce back game. Yeah, I think
he's going to have to play, even with a relatively bad game, he had 18, and he played 37 minutes. He's on the court all the time. So I don't mind that for Carleak. I want to see his stats in that game. He was 8 of 19. That's a lot of shot attempts. And I think 20 is pretty reasonable. So, yeah, I think I actually am going to consider taking that a plus 245. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the actual preview of the Serbia game and the Team USA game. Now it's time for the actual lock and dog picks. But for that, I want to remind you once again that we are brought to you by Rhythm, because Rhythm has a lot of great AI picks and props. So I recommend you checking out the platform so you don't miss out on those. They won a bunch of things with golf in the 3M Open. They also allow you to bet on football. They have their college football and their NFL models, which are now live. So something that just dropped today, I believe. Create your own betting models or let Rhythm do it for you. You decide what stats matter to you, and Rhythm will build you a custom model around it, or just let Rhythm and its predictive model do the heavy lifting. Rhythm also has AI projections from their MIT data scientists. Rhythm also has you covered for week 1 of the NFL season and college football week 0. Still find week 0 hilarious because it's week 1, but not really. Once again, claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportscambucks.com, rhythmsportscambucks.com/RATHMM. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Sports. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Imagine the regret you'll feel if you win your office pool and you don't enter the Circa Survivor pool. Don't enter your book there for Las Vegas for football. All because the weekend's a great time to go. Hang out with Ryan and Sean. Enjoy some of the open bar events, the world's best sportsbook, from August 22nd through the 24th. Lonte, will you be in attendance?
I'm trying to make things work, man. I'm trying to work it out. So hopefully yes, but not 100%. I'm probably about 45.
I'm in the same boat. There was actually a bit of a side story quickly in the middle of an ad read, which I'm sure is not ideal. A couple of friends were trying to convince me to go on a Vegas flight last night at 6 a.m. They tried to do a last-second weekend there, and I basically said I might go at the end of the month anyway. So I might go. It's about 105. So you should probably leave your sweatshirts at home if you are going to Vegas. Use the promo code, though, SGP15, to save 15% off your hotel room for sign-up weekend. Start in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We also have a deal with a proxy. Go to proxy.footballcontest.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Just finished previewing the 2 games for the Saturday slate. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. Lonte, I'm going to let you go first. What is your lock and dog for the show?
Yeah, something that's just fresh that we just went through. I'm going over for South Sudan and Serbia. 169.5 was it? Yeah, I think it was. So I'm going to go over that.
Which one you said?
South Sudan and Serbia.
The total that I see right now is 178.5.
Oh, 178.5. I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah,
that's why I got me confused. I heard you say 160.
Yeah, no, my bad. My bad. I definitely go over 169.5 also. But yeah, I think both teams have distinct advantages that they'll be able to exploit. On the opposite side, I think we'll see a decent pace because South Sudan has to play at a rapid pace to kind of keep the Serbia out of the half court, which is their bread and butter. I think both teams will be able to score. And I think that it'll be a closer game than we expect. Maybe a single-digit game going into the fourth quarter, and we see both teams trade blows. So I like that over 179.5. For the dog, I'm going with Steph Curry. I think we both like Steph Curry. 18-plus points is 4-1 on DraftKings. If shopping around, it might be better other places, but I saw 18-plus at 4-1. I think you'll have a breakout game here, decent matchup. I'm pretty sure those guys are going to try to get him going because he struggled so bad as of late. Didn't make a 3 like Scott mentioned earlier. So I think 18-plus. You could go 20-plus and get, north of 6-1. But I'm going to stay at 18-plus thinking that he gets, in between 19 and 20.
All right. So for my lock on the show, I think I am going to go with, once again, ignoring the Team USA game. I think I'm going to go with the Serbia game. And I think for this one, I am going to go with the default rebounds for Joker. Give me the over 9.5 at minus 125. Thought about getting creative with it. Thought about maybe doing something with the alt lines, but I really didn't like the pricing enough. So I don't think I can actually get away with it. So I'm going to go with the rebounds instead. I do think that even though South Sudan has some length, Joker we know is a great rebounder. He had 15 rebounds against Puerto Rico last game. We know that he can really dominate with his overall size and his physicality. That's one thing that I think that Sudan's going to struggle with. They have some length. They don't have the overall, what's the word I'm looking for? Girth, I guess, to actually hang with Joker. I just think he's bigger than everybody. And of course, he's going to be on the court all the time. And I do think that he can be in line for a good showing. He still played 30 minutes against Puerto Rico, even with them winning by 41. So I do think that he's in line for a good game. He only had 5 rebounds against Team USA. That's Team USA. It's a bit different. I think I'll have a good rebounding game here. 9.5, I think is a good number at around minus 125. I'll quickly see if I can find a better price. FanDuel is 10.5. So I would jump on that 9.5 before it moves on DraftKings as my lock. I see it available on FanDuel at minus 184. So once again, my lock's going to be on Joker over 9.5 rebounds at minus 125 as my lock. For my dog, I think I am actually going to go with Carleek. I'm going to go with Carleek 20-plus points at plus 245. I think it's a very good number. Now, Carleek has not gotten there so far in this event. However, he's been very, very close. He had 19 points in the first game against South Sudan, and he also had 18 points against Serbia in the last game. He had 18 points against Team USA in the last game. He had 19 points against Puerto Rico. So he's been fine. The volume's been there. He had 19 shots against Team USA, and he had 15 shots against Puerto Rico. We do know that he's going to shoot the ball a lot. So I do like the volume. I like the idea that he can get to the free throw line, and he has not really made many threes. He's been 1 of 4 from 3 in the last couple games. Maybe get a couple more to go down, and he's able to go over. But 245 for a guy that's had 18 and 19 in the last 2 games, I think is a very solid value play, and he's definitely the main shot taker on this team. Give me Carleek over 19.5 points at plus 245 as my dog. You have any thoughts on that?
No, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Cool. So that's going to wrap it up, though, for this episode. A reminder, we're back once again in about 15 minutes to do the baseball show with Lonte and I. As for the Olympics for basketball, this is the final day of, or I should say Team USA's day, for Saturday is the final day of the group stage. So we'll be back for the actual knockout round for the quarterfinals. Until next time, though, you can find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. You can find him on Twitter at XXLonteXX. Check out the MLB show in 15 minutes. Until next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.